I texted Lucas, we're done with real estate. This was fun and I don't want to do this anymore. Welcome to part 3 of a 6-part series where I'm walking you through a presentation that me and my business partner Lucas just gave. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the things that we did well, the things that we wish we could have done better, and walk you through how to invest successfully with a full-time job. So our goal was to buy as many rental properties as possible, so that's what we did for our first several deals. We just bought rental properties with the Burrs Method. We borrowed money to buy and fix up a distressed property, then we got it rented, then we got a loan from a bank to pay off whoever we borrowed the money from, and then the mortgage was paid down by the tenant's rent. That's the Burrs Method in a nutshell, and that's what we did. However, we were discovering that that was pretty hard to replace your full-time income just by living off the cash flow from your rental properties. And in fact, I would suggest never doing that, especially not at first. How we buy rental properties and how you're probably going to do it if you don't have a lot of money in your bank, I'm talking about several $100,000, you're going to utilize the Burrs Method and you're going to positively cash flow $200 to $400 a month. It's going to take a lot of those properties. It's going to take you a while to buy to replace your $40,000, $60,000, $80,000 income, however much you're making. And even if you do get to that point, I think it's pretty scary to just rely on rental income because things do happen. If you have enough rental properties to be making $60,000 a year, what happens when 3 HVAC systems go out that spring when you kick them on for the summer? What happens when a couple roofs need replaced? So I never think it's a good idea to just live off rental income. You need to supplement that rental income with active income. And right now, you and me in my journey had a full-time job. So that was my active income. I was building up some passive income and passive wealth by owning rental properties, but in order to get out of that full-time job, which was the next step, we needed to start to build more active income. That was an epiphany we had about 2 or 3 years into our journey, which surprisingly, looking back, it took us that long to realize it. But if you can invest in real estate and buy rental properties, and during that process of finding properties, fixing them up, meeting people, you can just do a few flips or a few wholesales, you can get that active income up there a lot faster. The average wholesale fee across the country is somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000. So imagine just spending some extra time as you're building your rental portfolio and doing 2 or 3 wholesales a year. You might be able to replace your income just with that while you're building rentals on the side. So how we did it, mainly Lucas, he would go look at prospective properties or check on our rehabs during his lunch break. I was traveling a little bit at this time and my home office was actually about an hour from where we were investing. It was not really realistic for me to be able to check on the properties during the work week, so that fell on Lucas. And he would literally take 2 to 3 hour lunch breaks almost every single day, looking at prospective properties, checking on our rehabs, checking on our rental properties, meeting inspectors, doing all the work, which I appreciate him doing at the time, but that was obviously not sustainable, so that had a short shelf life. Now, he didn't get fired, but who knows, maybe eventually he would have if he kept that up. So Lucas was running around like crazy during the week, and on the weekends, we literally spent almost every single weekend working on our properties. We were looking at new prospective properties, whether we were checking on our rehabs, or a lot of the time we were doing the work ourselves as much as we could. We're not super handy people. I know how to turn a screwdriver, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I know how to paint a little bit, but we did things like landscaping and demo, and just the simple things that didn't require professional skill or professional touch. So that's what we did almost every weekend for 10 or 20 hours a weekend. Luckily, we hadn't started a family yet. We each had wives. They didn't love the idea of us doing that. More on that later, but we hadn't had any kids yet. This would not have been possible had we had kids. So basically, at first, when you're investing with a full-time job, it's just going to be a lot of extra work. You're going to be taking a large part of your spare time and devoting that towards growing the side hustle and growing your real estate investing career. Eventually, you're going to be able to replace your work time with this time, but for now, there's no really way to skip ahead. The only way I can honestly think to skip ahead is buying a mentorship or something like that, which I do have one. Not a sales pitch here. I do have 1,100 students that own over $200 million in real estate. If you're interested at all, check out the description below for my free training that walks you through the steps that I took, and then you can schedule a call with my team. If not, no big deal. Stick to the social media stuff, stick to YouTube University, and hopefully subscribing to this channel. That's fine. Just want to let you know that it is a way to kind of speed this up. The next question that we get from people, and the question that we had at this time was, so how can we start to take some things off our plates while still having a full-time job outside of real estate? Now, this doesn't have to be a full-time employee. This can be a part-time employee. This can be a 1099 contractor. This can just be putting more trust in the contractor you already use. The first thing was property management. We started off with a few rental properties, and while we had full-time jobs, we probably had close to 20 rental properties, so that was starting to take up a decent amount of our time. So what we did was we hired out property management altogether. We hired a third-party company to do it, and we just didn't like that. They weren't treating the properties how we like to treat them. they weren't treating the tenants how we like to treat our tenants. We are very respectful with our tenants. We treat them as people. We are definitely landlords, not slumlords. So that didn't work out. So what we ended up doing was starting our own property management company. And that may sound really cool, but it wasn't really much at first. All we did was hire somebody part-time who used to be in the property management space that just had a little one that was looking to maybe work 5 to 10 hours a week just to start to get out of the house a little bit and have something to earn a little bit of extra money. So that's what we did at first. We hired a part-time property manager in-house. This probably took maybe 20 hours a month off of our plates. We appreciate it, and our wives appreciate it even more. The next thing we did was we put more responsibility and more trust on some contractors we were using. We had a project manager that we didn't really employ. They worked for other people as well. But basically what we would do is we would raise an extra $5,000 to $10,000 on the initial rate of the purchase and rehab of a rental property or a flip at this time, because we were flipping at this time as well. And we would just pay them from that overages to manage the projects and be there during the week and maybe even the weekends when we couldn't. So basically we just took money that we were putting into the property. We paid somebody else to help manage that project for us, freeing up some of our time to find more deals and to not be working so hard, spending more time with our family. All right, let's get on to the biggest challenges and biggest wins. Let's start out with the biggest challenge. I remember this to this day. I was driving to work. Well, I was at work. I wasn't driving. And I texted Lucas, we're done with real estate. This was fun and I don't want to do this anymore. We recently bought a 3-pack of properties. Don't want to go into too much of a rabbit hole here, but basically one was a really good deal that we were going to rehab. The other 2 were occupied rentals in a little bit rougher of an area. We got the numbers back and they actually appraised for less than we bought them for. They're supposed to appraise for a lot more than you buy them for. So we were going to have to bring almost $30,000 to the table to close on those 3 properties. We did not have $30,000 to do that in our personal or business account. So I said, we're screwed, we're done, let's just sell our properties, this is over. Lucas, a little more level-headed at the time, said, no, let's figure this out. So we ended up selling that really good property that we wanted. I think we sold another one of those rental properties and kind of broke even or lost a little bit. We ended up pulling a little bit of equity out of our first rental property that had built up over the first couple years, so we didn't have to come out of pocket to keep that other rental property. We sold 2 of them, one we loved, one we hated. We ended up keeping one that we kind of liked, but didn't have to come out of pocket. The second biggest challenge was time. I mentioned this earlier, but we have limited spare time. Everybody does. You're all working, you're all busy, you all have family and spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends, and you want to enjoy life and you have limited time to work really hard. So the idea is to do that as efficiently as possible. That's hopefully what you're learning from this series and these videos here on my YouTube, my podcast, The Faster Freedom Show, and all my social media at SamFasterFreedom. The goal of all of that, tens of thousands of hours of free content, is to help you get a little bit more efficient in your limited spare time. So eventually you can have unlimited spare time. The biggest wins were we started to do more rehabs and understand the construction project. In fact, we started our very first flip, was probably our 6th or 7th property. Others were rentals. This was our first fix and flip. It was a burn house, meaning it was down to the studs. A lot of them new studs. We literally had to do electric from scratch, plumbing from scratch, permits from scratch, drywall, insulation, everything. That was a big undertaking. I think we ended up making about 25 grand on it. So good, but probably wasn't worth all the effort, time, and energy we put into it. But we learned a ton. This was a very, very big learning. This was after the school phase, which was our first phase, but this is when we learned the most because we were actually taking action. I tell people all the time, including my students, that you're only gonna learn 25% by watching videos like this. The other 75% of what you're gonna learn is actually doing it on the job. These first 3 videos were from 2014 to 2018. Next video, we're gonna start at 2018 when we quit our full-time jobs and talk about how we did it and why we did it. Give this video a like if you have not yet. I would appreciate that very much. See you on the next one.